welcome to Startup to Success with Maria. I have a very special guest today, Abiodun Koya. She's a Nigerian-born classic singer, poet, a humanitarian who's performed for the likes of US presidents like Barack Obama, George W. Bush, Nigerian Kings, and world ambassadors. Abiodun, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, Maria. Congratulations on your newborn baby. You look fabulous.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we were supposed to meet at the studio to do this recording session, but with the newborn, it's a little bit hard to walk away.
I know. I understand.
Thank you for making time to hop on and
of
do
course
this interview via Zoom, which is so incredible to be in.
Thank you for having me.
In your home, my home office. It's amazing. So thank you for joining me.
Of course.
I can't wait to dive in and start. Oh my God, I have so many questions for you. I am, first of all, so honored to have you on the show. But
thank you.
What I want to know, and what I usually love starting my interviews with, is what inspired you? God, like at the age of 16, you're definitely one of those blessed people that just knew what you were born to do, right? So
yes.
Just tell me how and what, like, how did you even get started in Nigeria? My God.
So I'm the baby of the family, right? There's an 8-year gap between me and my immediate senior sister. So that's just to let you know that my parents thought they were done. But before I was born, my dad studied in abroad, both in the US and England, from Nigeria. You know, he went to Howard University and then went to Cardiff to study. And that was where he met classical music. And he fell in love with it like a woman. If classical woman was a human being, it would be a woman that my dad fell in love with. So again, I wasn't born this time, but you know, the other siblings were born. And so my dad came back home with all those vinyl records of Beethoven, Bach, and Mozart, Handel especially. And years later, fast forward, I was born into that. And that was the only thing other than food that I responded to in the house. I was the baby of the family. I was a sport brat, but most importantly, I loved music. And before I started talking, I started humming. I don't want to say singing. And my father, thank God, paid attention, noticed that it seemed this girl, you know, has an interest for music. And by the age of 6, I would take 2 sticks, you know, and be going around in the house like this. And so my father got the message without me necessarily saying, hey, I'm interested in violin. I love violin. And so my dad got me this student violin to play. And at that point, I knew all I wanted to do was music. All I wanted to do was arts. I would design dresses for my dolls. I would braid my dolls' hair. I would write songs. And this is from like age 6. And at a point, my parents asked me what I wanted to become. And I said, I want to become a singer. And they didn't like that. Rather, they wanted me to become an accountant. And your homegirl hated math. That was that. How can you be an accountant when math was your nemesis? Hello. But we were able to reach an agreement because I love business. I love the aspect of business, doing business. As a matter of fact, when I was under 10 years old, we grew lemongrass in front of our house. We had this garden, and I would cut some and, you know, tie them into different pieces, put them on a tray, put them in front of the house, and put for sale.
True entrepreneur.
All of this under 10. And I would sit by it, you know, take a stool and sit by it. And I even asked my grandmother to loan me money, startup capital. And my grandmother.
You went through the VC stage, raising money.
How did a girl under 10 knew how to hustle for money? And my grandmother told me this bogus story of how this white man came to her house and asked her to borrow her money, and the money is still tied with this white man. Anyway, so it's been a long journey. And so I decided to study business management, and my parents were like, okay, that's fair enough. But at the back of my mind, I was smart enough to say, let me go to school, let me get a degree, and then I can do whatever I want. And no matter whatever career path I choose to go in life, my degree would come in handy, always come in.
Yep. Yeah. I majored in business too, and I got my master's degree also. And I was always very much into fashion and the creative side of things. But I'm one of those creative people that I cannot create. I have the visions, but I have to articulate the visions to creative people that can draw or actually create something. And then it turns into, I productize it. I have a very interesting creativity. And it's kind of interesting how my business background has helped me bring some of the creative ideas that I have and productized it and pretty much started companies. You know, I had a shoe company that I literally don't know how to draw a shoe, but I designed some of the most amazing bridal shoes. And
wow.
It's so interesting how creativity can come in so many different forms. And that's definitely not taught. It's usually in like one bucket. It's thrown in one bucket, and then people are like, oh, if you're creative, then you're not a good businesswoman or a businessman, and if you're this, and then all those stereotypes are just so but I love how you just you figured out how to keep the family happy, how to keep parents happy. You got your degree and you're like, all right, I'm gonna go for it. So what was the next step like after?
The next step was I think I was just like a sophomore student at a college in Nigeria when the door opened for me to come to the US. And at first it was just for me to come for some kind of program, you know, athletic program, and then come back. But then I was like, you know what? My parents said, hey, why don't you just stay and, you know, finish your education back there and all that stuff. And I agreed to do so. So I transferred my credit. Lo and behold, you know, you can't hide the smoke, or you can't hide. It's kind of like if you have like a sunlight or the sun itself in the palm of your hand, you can't hide it. So I studied in Washington, D.C. And while I was there, I couldn't stop singing. Somehow students figured out that I could sing. I don't remember how they knew, but word went to the school president that there's this international African student that can sing opera like no man's business, like Maria Callas. And he was like, what? I want to meet that student. So to cut the long story short, the school president met with me. I sang for him. He was blown away, and he introduced me to his wife. And from that point on, they said, young girl, we're going to make sure that everyone hears you. We're going to have you sing at the school, any school event, and we're going to pay you.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes. So that's kind of like how I started, and I never looked back since.
I mean, your voice is, it just gave me goosebumps when I heard.
Oh, thank you.
Your
you.
voice. And what I want to emphasize on is the fact that you were so humble about it. You know, you just kind of went through school, and then they like, you didn't even approach them aggressively. They came after you. That must be, that's such a blessing.
It is.
So how, you know, the next question is going to be, how did you end up singing for the presidents?
So from there, of course, you know, when there's like a Founders Day and the school is having an event, a school in Washington, D.C., you know, there's bound to be all sorts of people in power and interesting positions. You know, from there, I started meeting different sorts of people from different walks of life. And I started singing at embassies. I started out singing at the Nigerian embassy too, you know, just singing the Star Spangled Banner. And one thing I made sure, I think 2 weeks after I got into the United States, one thing I made sure that I learned and knew very well, like my name. Guess what it was?
Oh, the national the national anthem. Yeah.
Toast to that.
Smart. See, that's where the business degree came handy. You're
I'm
strategic.
telling you.
You're
I'm
so
telling you.
I love it. The national
I
anthem.
learned
That's
it. I
smart.
learned the heck out of it. I learned the patriotism out of that.
Nice.
And that was what opened the door for me, an immigrant
Wow. Amazing.
in
Amazing.
the city, in the nation's capital,
Wow.
at the seat of power. And so from there, I was in the midst of Congress members, senators, diplomats, and these people, they can connect you. And so word of mouth. And with me, I was always diligent. I was always on time. I was always responsible. I would dress well. I would put it all together. Because for me, I understood that it wasn't only about just opening my mouth to sing so beautifully. Okay, yeah, thousands of people can do that. But what about the character, the personality, the appearance, the entire package? They ask you to show up at 11 a.m. You show up at 10:15, already parked. You're in there, you're walking around the venue, the premises, getting acclimatized to the premises. It speaks volumes. You can't buy that. So that was how somebody just said, hey, we're having a Black History Month event at the White House, and would like for you to sing a spiritual or two. And I said, yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. And that was how it started out, for me.
I love that you said that you have to be the whole package. And I think, you started branding yourself at such a young age. You sort of knew what branding is, because that's what branding is, right? Like anything that you do, you want to be prepared, whether it's the way you're speaking or your knowledge of the people that you're meeting with and interacting with, and being on time, being presentable. It takes a lot of things, a combination of all, to make an impression. And it's one thing to be reliable, it's one thing to be friendly and pleasant, so that people keep wanting you to be involved in their events. And that's smart.
And these are part of the things they also teach you in business school. And it's part of it.
Business ethics 101. I remember. I remember taking that class. Now, so
absolutely.
So you've had this amazing success, and you're amongst these, I mean, you can't go any higher than that, right? Like singing for the presidents and being involved in all these beautiful events. So then where was school then? You just, did you graduate and then pursue career, or you just continued on singing?
I graduated and I did both, basically. My singing was my career. I just knew I wanted to sing, and then I actually went on to apply to study music for my master's, master's degree. Yes. So again, I knew that I wanted to put in the work. Meanwhile, underneath it all, I had that genuine interest to serve the country, to be in the military. And I made 2 attempts, to enlist. And I think I talked to the wrong people, maybe, and they kind of like made it seem as if I had to, I couldn't do both. At that point, I wanted to do military part-time and do singing full-time. And I didn't know it was called the reserves. I mean, I was young and naive. But the recruiting officers I spoke to when I walked into the stores, the offices, just said, oh yeah, you have to be full-time, otherwise you can't do it. So along the line, I just wanted to put that out there, that I had a desire to serve. And so, yeah.
That's so interesting. I did too. I was 19 and I went to one of the offices to sign up for the Army or the Navy. I don't remember which one it was. And then I almost did, and I paused, and I'm like, I need to talk to my parents about this before I do. And I come from a culture, Armenian, it's very, women don't go and serve. That's just something that just
Who
doesn't,
does that? You're supposed to worry about makeup, lipsticks,
right?
and
Yes,
eyelashes.
and look all pretty and yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Married by the age 19, you should be married or engaged already. You should
yeah.
not be thinking about, yeah, I don't know what that urge was.
I know, I get it.
It was the strong woman in me, I guess, that wanted to
Me
just
too.
be part of
Yeah,
that
yeah. That's what
training.
it's.
Yeah,
That's what it usually is. You know.
yeah, yeah. Well,
That's what
but
it.
in a
And
sense, aren't
sense to.
you glad you didn't though? Because then look at all these amazing things you've experienced and created.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And right after that, I went on to start my foundation, my nonprofit organization. I knew I wanted to give back. I wasn't comfortable with the inequality that exists in the world. And at that point, I knew that what is life? Other than to leave a good legacy behind. It's not enough to have 50 cars in the garage.
No, and then
Again, it's look, I don't like to judge. If you have 50 cars in the garage, please, are you helping people though?
right.
I'm the kind of person that I don't have a problem with the number of cars or blings you wear.
Yeah. Whatever
don't
makes you happy, whatever motivates you,
Whatever you work for
Yeah.
it, somehow you got the
Right.
money. But just at the back of my mind, I would like to know, because that's the only way I can respect you
Yeah.
and admire you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I want nothing to do with you. I don't even want to read about you in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear your name.
How are you
Period.
making an impact in this world in a positive?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree. I own a marketing agency where I help startup tech companies, disruptive tech companies that get funded millions. And my agency's job is to help them scale and grow customer acquisition. And I've come across and worked with some amazing company owners, founders who have really disrupted the industry and passed on the savings and helped people's lives, improved people's lives in some way with their products or services. And so helping them grow is very gratifying for me, because I know that when I'm shining a light and I'm helping them promote their product or service, I'm actually creating awareness amongst people that could benefit from their product or service. But then, I come across some companies that aren't really on that mission, and all they care about is the revenue,
Profit.
that they generate, profit to satisfy their investors. And I remember when I was working for a different agency before I opened my agency, I had no say in that, right? Like who I could take on as a client and who not. If my boss assigned me a client, then I had to take care of that client. But I remember this one particular client that I was so not happy with, and he was just a very mean person who was mean. He was mean to everyone in my team, and as the director of
What a miserable human being.
my team, I was like, I can't allow this abuse. Like you just it's just not okay. And I remember talking to my boss, and my boss was so supportive. He said, you want to fire him, go ahead and fire him. And ever since then, I've always had that mentality that I am not going to waste my time on people that are mean and people that are not out there to do good for the rest and, selfish. I just don't have time for that. And it makes my work feel so little when you're working with someone like that. It's just your work becomes less gratifying. And so obviously being in a position where I'm the CEO of my agency now, I don't even take them on. I can smell the wrong people from a mile away. I just will refuse their business. I just won't take them as clients. And then I started doing a lot of pro bono work when the pandemic happened. And I love every aspect of it. I mean, I could do it all day. If I didn't have to support 3 kids and a family, I would do that all day. And, one of the reasons why I want to talk about your nonprofit is because I want to learn and understand more about it. And maybe eventually I could have a nonprofit where I could give all of this expertise and knowledge and marketing specifically, and help smaller businesses grow, especially
Hmm.
the pandemic is so hard. They're all going out of business. They're having a hard time surviving. So, I want to dive into how you started a nonprofit. Was it challenging? I mean, what were the first few steps that you took to get it going?
So for me, I sort of started small. I took my time to plan it, and it was it was somewhat easy for me in two ways to start. One, I decided that my concerts would be my fundraiser.
Genius. Wow.
That I said that's it.
That's
Part of the proceeds, I knew, and I already have, I had the fan base, I had the people, I had the clientele. All I just need to do is plan an event, and I'm a social butterfly. I love people, especially if they're they're nice and warm and at least reasonable. We can, I mean, you can't have perfect people everywhere,
oh
but
no.
at least if they're reasonable and
Yeah,
help, because life is hard as it is.
I know.
It's hard for the miserable person that's miserable for whatever reason, maybe because of childhood trauma. It's hard for the person who's nice, who's genuine, who's plus. It's hard for both of us. So let's be reasonable. Let's make this work. That's I'm only asking for 50%. If you can do better, that's fine. So back to starting out, I knew my means of raising funds would be to organize concerts and events. And I knew that I had the clientele. I would just need to go talk to them and say, hey, this and that. And my father was a humanitarian also growing up. He didn't have a nonprofit organization, but his was towards churches. He helped a lot of poor women, older women, the blind, the folks that were disadvantaged that were at our church only and in the neighborhood growing up. So growing up, I used to see him just, give food that was meant for us. It wasn't like we didn't, have anything to, but we were like, why would you? We didn't understand. We're kids, could be selfish
Right.
sometimes. And when we would go to church, he would ask me and my sister to walk back home because we would ride in the car from home. It was like maybe 10 minutes ride, but if you walked, it's like 20 minutes. And we hated it. As a teenager, I hated all that thing. And I didn't understand.
Yeah.
But that was already part of me. I just needed to grow older to blossom into a humanitarian. I think I got that from my dad. It was already in my genes. My dad is super, it's not because he's my dad, he's like super kind to a fault. He's like a dove. And so, I got the music from my dad, I got the humanitarian. So my dad and I are like super close. And I like to give him a hard time for no reason. I just stress him out. Anyway, so I knew the model. I was able to reflect back to how my dad did things, in the small scale. He didn't understand, it was just like church and neighborhood kind of a thing. In his eyes, he wasn't a humanitarian, but he just wasn't comfortable that, we were a bit privileged. We weren't like super wealthy, but we were above average. And so he thought, let's let it be a shift, let it be a balance. There's a bit of some resources, a bit more in my family. Let me slide it over. That was all he was doing. We have excess. Wow. Even though it's not 100% excess, it's excess. Even if it's like 0.1, it's excess. Let me shift it over to those who don't. That was how he operated. That was how he thought about things. And I saw that firsthand. And I think I had genes. I got that from him too. So anyway, so I already had that. And this was like, I was age 26, 27 when I, started my nonprofit. I'm 41 right now. And so it's been a long journey so far. And then down the line, I realized that also I didn't necessarily need to have money to give.
Right.
Visiting, women in prison, listening to them, sharing my talent, just talking to them like I'm talking to my girlfriends.
Yeah.
I would have like 300, whenever I was scheduled to talk, I would have 300 female inmates in Nigeria, 500, and I go there not as a diva. I wear my flip-flops, and track pants. I'm comfortable and that's how I like to be comfortable, really. And I chat them up. I talk to them. So why are you here? What's, and they need, that is priceless. So along the line, I when I started out, I thought I needed to have the Benjamins. Yes, you do. You still do, but not all the time. Not all the time. Just be there. People are, if someone is thrown in jail and for whatever reason, if you can be just the listening ears or you can dialogue with them, it gives them hope. It reignites the fire of hope in them. So that's all I've been doing. Yes, and you said, my nonprofit has been impacted too because of the COVID, because I've not been able to hold concerts to fund that. But I'm able to do other things. That hasn't stopped me, like I'm not even able to necessarily travel to Africa to do all those things. But I go to like the homeless people. I just buy them soda, buy them fruits, food, chat with them. I wear my mask. I make sure, and then no nonsense. Let's set the boundaries. No, you can't talk to me like that. No, like that. And we all laugh. I'm like, no, what you think you could get away with that? Oh, please stop. At the end of the day, I enjoy as well. This is living life.
Yeah. And I love that you said, you don't need money to help others. And sometimes people always think help comes in monetary ways, but a lot of it could be mental. It could be that emotional, that positive reinforcement, connection, putting a smile on someone's face, or just simply,
exactly,
know that they're not alone in this world. Because you can have all the money. I mean, how many rich kids commit suicide? If money's the solution, then why are those kids killing themselves or becoming drug addicts? Clearly there's something missing, right? So and there's always this saying that kids that come from less wealthy families or poor families tend to be happier, maybe because the parents are giving them so much love and attention. So yeah, I love that. I
also think, aside from, I also think kids who come from, because even if you come from a wealthy family, if your parents are strict, not in a bad way, but disciplinarians, they can afford to do stuff, humble, they can afford to take you to school in a jet. But they say, hey, ride with your neighbors, go with the Williams, ride with them, they put in a little bit of hustling, get involved in the school charity. Then it's that, I think that's what it all comes down to, and we have that in Africa. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Even the rich families, most rich families, they want their kids to, be hands-on and be in touch with reality.
Well, because life is like a staircase. Like actually, it's like a roller coaster. I mean, I went through it when I was little. We were well off. Like I won't say like very rich, but we were very comfortable. And right before we came to the States, my parents lost all their money because the Soviet Union fell apart and the currency changed. And when that happened, they lost everything. So we came to the States. They literally scrambled because the banks wouldn't allow you to exchange your money. And if they did, you would get maybe $1 for the $1,000 that you would give.
Wow.
So overnight, we lost everything. My parents lost everything. And it was really hard to be, in my, like I was 12 years old, to all of a sudden come to the States and have no money ultimately. Like we came with $5,000 and we had to rent an apartment and figure out like how you bed this, that, like
family. Yeah.
And so it was very difficult, but because of my upbringing where, my parents raised me so humble, they never even told me that, oh, you're better off, like we're well off and your neighbor, like none of that. I did not know the difference between my neighbor's kids and myself, even though yes, I did dress a little bit better than them, but to me those things were materialistic things that didn't matter. My parents didn't pay attention to
And I think the problem is in how we bring up our children. It's at that point, if you make them think, oh yeah, you don't have to work. It's what you instill in their minds.
Yeah.
You don't create this sense of false reality for them, because one day you're going to die. One day you might even think, oh, I've established this trust fund for them. But, I don't know if you saw the House of Gucci.
Oh, I
Um,
haven't yet. I've been meaning to
oh,
watch it. I can't
it
wait.
still beats me till today how the empire does no longer belong in the family,
Wow. Wow.
But if you looked at three generations, but before all of that, they would say, oh yeah, future generations will be fine. But look at it, none of the Gucci family members are part of it any longer.
Wow.
So that's even an empire that looks
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So it's just best to raise your kids to be to even think like you came to this world with nothing and you're not going to leave with
Independent.
anything.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know Build your stuff. Don't place value into stuff, into all this. Yeah, of course it's good to place value, but at the same time, don't let it be the thing that brings you utmost happiness. Find happiness in other things.
Exactly. Because you never know when you might lose it. And like, I remember coming to the States and losing it all overnight.
Like your family too. Yes.
But our happiness never went away. The love in my family never went away. Nothing changed. And so that's what I feel like that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. But to a certain extent, it was also awkward because it made me look at money like it's not a priority at all. And a lot of times I find myself not prioritizing money in business, which is the worst thing a businesswoman can do. And I just love giving, doing pro bono giving. And my husband's like, yeah, but you're running a business and you got people to pay. You can't just you have to make money to pay your people. You can't just do pro bono work. And so, but there's this calling of me wanting to help people so bad. And I'm just like, there has to be a way where I can continue doing this and also be able to pay people and not have to feel bad about it that I'm taking money out of, my personal money and paying for people to do these things,
And exactly. And guess what? Let me share this with you. When I thought about it, I thought, oh my God, this is profound. If I can see it this way, then I really would understand the dynamics of money. In my head, I think I personify money as a human being, bipolar. So I'm like, money, you're bipolar. You're a bipolar human being. You're a bipolar piece of paper. Today is high, tomorrow is low. So in my head, money is equal to bipolar individual.
I love that.
So if you and it's a good and a bad thing because that's how money is too. Yeah. So if you can treat money the way you would treat your bipolar friend, you would have no issues.
I like that. I really like that. Thank you. That's the best thing anyone ever told me, how to deal with money, the dynamics of money.
You'd understand. Today's high, it gives you all the look. Yeah. When it's high, don't let it fool you. Don't let that moment make you think you're some god, some Miss World President. And when it's low, when it goes, don't make you feel like a piece of ass. Yeah. Don't be defined by it. Yeah. Just appreciate the genius of that bipolar friend. There's the good and the bad in that human being, or let me just say in that being. Let's say being.
And it is being. We can't be without it.
It is.
Sadly,
it is. Money is a diva.
Yeah.
Money is a diva.
Yeah.
If you're gonna hire a diva, to your show. Yep. You have to deal with the good and the bad.
Yes.
Because a diva has certain expectations, like they do.
Yep. Yeah. You got to work hard, spend less time with the family if you want to make more money, right? You got to give up something. You can't just
it's demanding, Yes, that's so once you think about it, and the moment I had that revelation, no one taught me this. It just came to me. The moment I had that revelation, I mean, I was in a much, much better place.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that revelation with me, because I've had my own struggles of the way I see money, and sometimes I'm good with it. Sometimes I'm like, it's so not important. Health is all that matters, and my sanity and my happiness, my kids, my family. But then when I have to pay for their private school and I have to do this and that, the stress comes down. And so I love that bipolar, treat it like a bipolar person and get through it.
Yes.
I love it.
Because you're not gonna throw your bipolar friend away.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a good and a bad in them. That's why money is a currency.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. Believe it or not, money is an entity. Money is a spirit. Money is a being.
And it is one of those things that flows like energy. And if you block it, and if you don't, you're blocking it, then it won't continue coming.
Thank you.
Like a friend, and you're nice.
Thank you.
I love that.
And whatever days you're having issues, just have a conversation with it. Like, look, I need you to behave today. I need to invest. If you
I love that. I need you to continue flow my way.
I need it to make sense right now. you hear me?
I love that. I love that.
You just have take charge. Take charge. You're the diva. I'm a diva too. Take charge of money. Talk to it.
I love that. So
don't hate it. Don't over.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Don't hate it. Don't be in love with it. Like, exactly. Money. I'm in love with you. You're gonna money's gonna break your heart.
Exactly.
Money's gonna break your heart. Think of money as a person that's bipolar. You would never have issues. It would never control you. You would control it, and you would have understanding. Understanding is what matters. If you have understanding in life with certain things, you go to bed happy and you sleep. And also when you understand that sometimes you wouldn't have control over certain things. The things you don't have control over, maybe you're going to have control over it in 5 years. Exactly. Don't say, because I don't have control over it now, I'm giving up. Just be patient. Be that patient dog. Okay, let it have its way. Let it wander off. It's gonna come back to you, especially if you're in a good place. If you're doing the right thing, it's like your puppy. It wanders off. If it goes, I remember home. I remember the snacks and the toys I used to play with. Gonna come back. So, yeah.
I love that. So speaking of money, tell me, since obviously the pandemic, you haven't been able to do the concert to raise money for your nonprofit. Have you applied for any grants? What have you done to continue raising money?
I haven't actually. Instead, I'm sort of taking, right now I'm doing like the humanitarian work. The percentage is low right now. I'm focusing on myself. I'm focusing on my brand. I just launched a poetry book, a book of poetry. It's on Amazon. It's called The Moods of a Goddess. I launched it in December. As I'm talking to you, I'm working on 3 romance mini books. It's like a quick guide to be more romantic, how to deal with heartbreak. It really shares a lot of wisdom and in depth, about relationships. And so I'm writing, because they address 3 different topics. So I'm currently working on that. I launched 2 t-shirt lines. One is for mental wellness and one is for women empowerment. The women empowerment one is called Strong Goddess, and the other one is called Gigantic. And gigantic is unisex. It's supposed to be that small voice when no one else is there to cheer you on. It's supposed to be a reminder to say you're a giant. Whatever you're going through is a phase. Grow through it, because you're a giant. You can do it. So I've been busy working on those. And yeah, it's a lot. And I'm in drama school, and it's so I'm sort of like doing stuff for myself now. I'm trying to launch certain ideas that I've been sitting on. I'm working on treatments for future movies that I want to make. I'm taking my time. I'm here.
I love that. And I love that, you said you're trying the ideas that you've had, you're real, like you're taking them and doing something about it. Like I've had so many different ideas over the past decade, I want to say, and every time I would put it aside and I would say, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. And then one thing I recently realized, and in a sense, I'm very thankful to the pandemic because it gave me the ability to slow down a little bit and make room for all these things that are calling me. Literally, I feel like it's a calling. If something keeps popping in your head, an idea, and especially if it keeps popping in your head for years, then seriously, we got to take action towards it and do something, even if it ends nowhere. At least you know you've tried. I know one thing, that I don't want to be on my deathbed thinking, oh, I should have done this and I should have tried that, you know?
It seems like you lived in my body, like within the last 7 years. Come on, confess, tell me.
Sure. You know what? There's a reason why we've connected, and I already have a vision of the things we're gonna accomplish together.
Awesome.
The money we're gonna raise and all the
yes.
Once things go back to normal.
And guess what? We're gonna be doing this wearing our crowns, our tiaras.
I can't wait.
Honestly. That's exactly where I've been. I have just, like you said, everything you just said now, have been me. I've been sitting on this idea for so long, even movie stories that honestly, I'm not kidding you. It's not because it's coming from me, but because I'm the kind of person that I'm honest, I'm truthful. I don't flatter people. I say it the way it is. I'm not that kind of person that will say, oh, no, I wouldn't even be able to sleep well at night that day.
I'm like that too. I'm like that.
I can't. So, but these are good storylines, good movies that I think audiences will really appreciate and would change the face of movie production. That's that. But the pandemic, I also see it as a huge blessing. Much respect to the souls that have been lost and the people that have hurt. Obviously. But for me, it was a period of just unveiling the mask and also reprogramming my mentality. Yeah. The way I think, the way I see things. It's like coming into a sort of advancement. And so I just, it's, you would say you don't have time, I want to do this. Commit yourself. And you know what I also found out? I'm usually not a morning person, but I swear to you, I have found that and I've read it somewhere. If you start early, if you start getting on your tasks early, if you wake up early, maybe by 6, you're already having your breakfast and you set your goals and tasks, I promise you by 12 noon, you would have done a lot. And you feel, this is from experience. Now, this is not something what I've read. So if you're out there watching this and you're like, oh, I want to start this idea, I want to start this program, but I don't have it, I don't have time. Just set out 1 or 2 days in a week. Wake up early. Yeah. Wake up early. That's the key. Because if you just start doing stuff from 12 o'clock,
no, that's not going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
Abby, I can't believe we're coming to an end of, I have so
much
for you, and it's been like,
you said it.
Oh my God. So before we end our interview, which means that you need to come back again, and maybe we can meet at the studio next for our next interview, but remind our listeners when they can get a hold of you, how they can connect, how they can volunteer, donate, support everything that you're doing. You are such an amazing woman. I'm so thrilled to, have this moment with you and hear all the exciting work.
It went by just like this. We could do this for like 6 hours and we're not gonna get tired.
No, I agree. This is why you need to come back to the show.
I definitely will, and I'll be honored to come back. My website is abiodunkoya.com. You can reach me there. The contact information, the contact page, it goes to my management, and they pass all information to me. They share it with me, and I, either respond personally or tell them what to do. I'm most active on Instagram. Twitter, not so much. I'm not on Facebook. So it's Sing Abiodun Koya, SINGABIODUNKOYA. So it's just Sing before my first and last name, and that's pretty much it.
And we'll have all the information in the show notes too for our listeners to be able to connect with you directly. But thank you so much for coming on the show. You are such an inspiration, and
Thank you.
I love what you're doing with the nonprofit, and I hope that the listeners can support you and help you and volunteer and donate so that you can do this, scale this amazing work that you do at a whole bigger level. I mean, it's already big, but we can amplify it even more.
Listen, you are a queen, you're a goddess. You have this platform, you're changing lives, you're following your dreams, and you have a prince that takes a little prince. I mean, that's just a huge bundle of joy. I love babies. I'm so happy for you. So thank you for doing this. Thank you for taking steps on, on your dreams and say, I want to do this. And here you are, you have your own platform. You're giving a voice to a lot of us who have voice, but also don't, have voice in a way. So thank you. How much more people who don't even have a voice? So you're doing amazing things.
And most importantly, I love bringing inspirational people like you on the show so that others can get inspired and do something about their dreams and their goals and their wishes, because most people sit there and think, oh, they can't, it's too hard to reach. But then when they hear the stories of others, how they've done it, it hopefully will motivate them, inspire them to take action. Ultimately,
absolutely,
take action one step at a time. Just get up and do something. Get up early and do something.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.